Hello, everyone. I hope everyone had a excellent week. I'm just making sure that all of this is featured and done properly, and it's not going the way that I wanted. Oh, my damn phone. Just give me 1 second because it's deciding to not let me advertise the way that I should. Oh, damn it. Just give me 10 seconds and it'll be done. It's a slight delay and I'm not impressed with it. Okay, I need to make sure it's down. Okay, now we've got some. Yep, done. Okay, advertisement up. So I hope everyone had a wonderful week. Mine is filled with heat, a little bit of rain, and even crazier is I had a bit of work come in and off sporadically, so I didn't even get everything I wanted this week. But I spent like I worked all week, which is gonna not pay off so much later. Hey, I hope the more interactions that you get, the bigger that it goes out to, by the way. So keep that in mind. So this week we are going to talk about how very clumsy worded comment was not a joke, and they clearly didn't know that they were being heard. We're going to talk about Peter Dutton's The Little Evil Plan, Morrison's rhetoric, a bit of New South Wales election coverage, the great ad. I don't know if you've seen many of these, but they are incredible. What are the LNP's chances of winning next week's election? John Barilaro, yet another amazing video by Friendly Geordie's put out. Is a indictment likely for Donald Trump? Okay, so right at the top, I want to talk about something that a lot of conservatives do. They will commonly make an offhanded comment, and when it's deemed offensive, they're like, oh, no, I was just kidding. And there's no punchline. No one is laughing when they make the comment. And it was clearly recorded like that. And for the media to take the stance of, oh, no, believe them, because they say so, is a little bit bizarre to me, that we are just expected to take the LNP at their word of, oh no, I was just kidding. So let's look at one of those just kidding clumsy moments that has recently emerged that I find absolutely disgraceful. Okay, so here we go. Okay, New South Wales Liberal candidate for Swansea filmed saying, I don't believe in climate change. Do you want to hear the context of that? I'll give you a hint. It was not funny. There was no punchline and no one laughed afterwards. So let's take a listen in 20 seconds of the full context of those comments, and you be the judge of why I'm so cynical that the media is taking her approach of, just kidding.
I think this is tokenistic, very tokenistic. I don't believe
that might have to go again because I don't know if it actually.
I think this is tokenistic, very tokenistic. I don't believe
So it's very tokenistic, and she doesn't believe in climate change. That in itself says that not believing in climate change is just another moment where we realize Megan Anderson should not have her seat. Not only is climate change real, do you want to just go back to the fires where Scott Morrison was in Hawaii? And do we really want to do this? I mean, how much do we want to humiliate her before she has that come to reality moment? I'm not mucking around with these people anymore. They know that she wasn't kidding. We know she wasn't kidding. So the media to let her rhetoric stand as, well, you know, this was funny. No, it wasn't funny. There was nothing funny about these comments. And hold off on any idea that it'll ever be funny, because climate change is a very real and impending risk, effects that we're feeling today, and it will only get exponentially worse. And do you know who it hits first? The lowest class of people, because that's always in like low-lying areas where you put poor people to live, or it's in areas that are super remote that get hit the worst when climate change hits. Seaside villages. If you're unsure if climate change is real, go look on the mid-north coast where the councils are actively trying to move people out from seaside properties where the sand is basically getting rid of their homes along the mid-north coast. There's a place called Old Bar. I used to live there, and you could actively see, it's near Taree, and you could actively see houses coming off the original foundation of what they had, because it was all sand. And it's amazing to watch. Councils never should have approved building that close to a beach anyway. But that to me is another sign that they are not thinking about the seriousness of being a real political leader of our time. Okay, next up, Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton has this plan of the AUKUS deal. Now, while I'm not a supporter of the AUKUS deal, and I said that there's no need for these subs, and I don't know why we're buying subs, but we're buying subs now because this is the crappy deal that Morrison left. Now, if you're part of the left that's like, let's eat ourselves and attack our elbow over that, sure, you can do that, but probably not to me. That's not going to go over so well, because even blind Freddie can see that the choices were already made and it was already designed to wedge Labor, and some of you took the bait, which isn't new. I would like to say it isn't new, but every election cycle comes around and you're like, no, I'm actively going to help the LNP wedge Labor into this position that they couldn't fix, you know, because why not? It seems like the plan. So Peter Dutton thought that he would do another type of wedging. He thought he would wedge them in terms of adding the funding for NDIS to the AUKUS deal with the subs. So he'll only agree to this if we cut NDIS. Oh, it's so despicable on so many levels. He just doesn't end. But let's have a deeper look at what his comments were. I find that particularly frustrating when we're talking about real needs of the NDIS recipients. Peter Dutton says a coalition would support NDIS cut to pay for the AUKUS submarines. Okay, the Liberal leader offers bipartisanship. Now, remember, he is huge on defense. You know, he is a massive wall. He's the guy that's going to say yes anyway. So what was this? This was a way to attack Labor on. Like, I will only say yes if you do what I want. Okay, don't agree to it then, Dutton. You know, but you're not going to get your war hawk experience if you don't. This Mr. No campaign seems to have backfired in such a monumental way that I don't think it can be assumed that this is a normal thing to do. So Sorry, that's why I like to turn off notifications. It comes in my ear and then I go crazy. Um, I'm just going to make sure that I turn off those notifications because now I can hear them, which isn't great. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so for him to offer it like this was designed to not only wedge Labor, but it gave the news cycle another news cycle of ALP people going, don't you dare, don't you dare. Of course he's not going to do it. If you were stupid enough to buy into this whole rhetoric that they lined up and knocked down for you, congratulations, you're helping the LNP. This is the plan, people. Pay attention. It's not a new ploy. We need to find a way to make sure that they do not win the rhetoric. Because if you're feeding into this media fawning moment of, oh, there's no way, your hands rubbing together going, Albo would definitely do that because he loves it. No. You got to think Labor come up with the NDIS program. Labor has always said that that's funding it is monumentally needed. To even assume that he would go along with some bipartisan idea of cutting NDIS funding to fund this AUKUS deal is repugnant at its core. And anyone buying into it, sorry, that's gullible at best. The media should have shut him down then and there and went, why would Anthony Albanese be pro-cutting NDIS funding? What evidence do you have to support that? They should have stopped him at the start, but they have to be media whores for the LNP. They have to be his arm. And some people fall for it, which is wonderful to realize that, you're only fly-by-nights. You're only there to, make sure that you take a nice dump on the situation and not really know what it really is. Okay. Here's the thing. He was a former defense minister. See, the AUKUS plan to buy up 5 Virginia-class submarines before working jointly on a next generation of submarines with the UK is expected to cost hundreds of billions of dollars over several decades. That doesn't mean that some won't be rolled out a little bit earlier, but it'll take a long time. These builds aren't like small and they go underwater, and there's a lot of intricacies with doing this. I don't know what war looks like, and I don't know if any of you do. I haven't been on the front line of war, and I hope we never go to war. But my God, I would hate that there was a situation that these may have been helpful. I don't know if they are or they aren't. It's not my position to know what this looks like. To me, it seems like drones would have been a better investment because that way no one gets hurt, and you can do even drone planes, and you can get more of an understanding of what's going on above the air. But that's my opinion. I don't think it's wise to invest in subs, no. But again, I haven't been in war, and I don't know what it's like to be able to get people that close. And as far as I'm aware, that there are already sub detection programs already out there, so they would know that you were there as well. I don't think you can get in their waters without them knowing. So I think there's a lot of stuff around this that's a little bit complicated. I don't know why it's happening. We're just going to have to work that out as it goes along. Okay. Scott Morrison was dumb enough to defend not only the robo-debt saga, but relate to himself once again as a welfare cop. If this wasn't cringy enough, Mr. Morrison took to making it sound like a perfectly normal and reasonable thing to do. Okay, so let's have a look at how he did exactly that. Okay. How Morrison launched Australia's strong welfare cop and the pain of robo-debt left in its wake. Public servants had legal advice saying that the robo-debt proposal was unlawful long before Scott Morrison announced it. So he knew long before that. So anything other than no, you knew that this was dodgy, that should have where it stopped. They shouldn't let him have a rhetoric that's deeply unhelpful. That's where it should stop and start. But the media has to make sure that they need to portray themselves as fair and balanced. What it really means is their version of fair and balanced now turns into, let's let them be heard and say the most ridiculous things, and you'll have to believe it because we aired it. And they won't balance it out with reality. Scott Morrison was clearly a man on a new mission in 2015, just like they won't cop people coming on boats. They're not going to cop people who are going to rot the system, Mr. Morrison said. Of the social security system now he was responsible for. Both were disgraceful policies. By the way, the stop the boats thing, that was abhorrent. I don't know why he thought that was like an amazing thing to do. I don't know why they think that rhetoric still works. It doesn't. It's clearly not popular. The whole thing of asylum seekers is not in their best interest. And in fact, you need immigration. So again, I implore you, for GDP reasons, since they're so worried about the economy, I dare say that they need to take a second realistic look at their boat people policy, because we all know that the boat people policy is purely for, dog whistling racists. It has nothing to do with the economy, because if it did, you would overwhelmingly see that these people are an asset to any economy around the world. Now, that's undeniable. Look at any facts or figures from around the world. Show me where I could be possibly wrong, and I'll own that. But here's the point. I'm not. Every country that has accepted people on a boat or as a refugee of some kind, one of them being Steve Jobs, that came from, I think it was Syria. He came from a refugee status too. He made Apple. There are people that have made some amazing things. There is Elon Musk that they all seem to be in love with. He's originally from South Africa. There is always this idea that the American made or Australian made is the only way that our economy is going to get better. But sometimes fishing for something overseas can benefit from our great, amazing pool of people that wish to be here to seek either refugee status or to just be here on a working visa. This is a very unhelpful rhetoric. So anyone that portrays it, I'm sorry, I'm not in. Anyway, back to Mr. Morrison's comments. So there does need to be a strong welfare cop on the beat, he said, and I will certainly be looking to do that. I want to make this system helps the people who most need it. The next morning, 22 January, Sydney Morning Herald reported what it called Morrison's warning would be to dole bludgers and disability pension rotters and terrorists who want to wage war on government benefits. Now, ultimately, this, given these comments in 2015, would be projection, because he was the terrorist on the welfare community. He eventually struck out, made up debts. They made up debts with an algorithm. The problem wasn't the averaging. The problem was using the averaging in terms of just making up a debt with no human oversight, and then just not putting a phone number on it so people could dispute the debts. Oh, and expecting him to go back like 10 years. I mean, it was a disgusting thing that they did. The program itself wasn't the issue. The program did what it was designed to do. The problem is the people who implemented it and used it for evil. Like I've always said, technology is not your enemy. It is your friend. But it's how you use it that is fundamentally different. Like I'm reaching you now with a fundamental knowledge that I can be seen anywhere all over the world, and you can access this information. But there are also people that commit horrible crimes using this same very technology. That's not to say that the technology is bad. It's just saying that the technology is not the fault of that. It's the people who use it that I have the issue with. You use averaging on different things. So each year that you're on Centrelink, you average out how much money you've earned and see if you need to pay a certain amount of tax. That is on family tax benefit payments. If you don't know that that's already used in different forms of Centrelink, and it was never used like this. The averaging was never used like this. It was designed so you could know averagely where you were at if you didn't exactly know where you were at. It was quite useful. And Scott Morrison used it in the most disgusting way that I have a real problem with it. Over the next 6 months, Morrison used the term welfare cop in at least 8 interviews, mostly on talkback radio. So remember when I said in another live that they used this rhetoric with friendly LNP media that was definitely disseminating this idea that they're on the right side of this topic, and this is exactly what we should be doing. And anyone that spoke out against them, they're going to dox them. They're going to put their names and addresses out there. And hell, if they get harmed in that process, we get to background those people that spoke out against it, a very illegal system. And that's exactly what happened. They used their media puppets like amazing little jerk-offs that they were. And they all fell for it in stunning performances. They didn't question him once the legality behind robo-debt. It wasn't until the lawsuit, the mass lawsuit rocked up, that those media started to get a bit like, oh, there is a class action lawsuit for robo-debt. And then they started to talk about it a smidgen differently. But it still didn't stop it. They were still interviewing the LNP like they were the welfare cops of the nation, which is dishonest in its start because it was an illegal program. And by this point, it wouldn't have been hard to FOIA those documents that this was not legal. But the media didn't want to do the work. It didn't want to find out if PwC, the company that was hired by the LNP to work out if robo-debt was exactly what they said. But, you know, being a real journalist takes effort. They didn't want to do the effort. They just wanted to make sure the LNP looked good in amongst that. I think it would have avoided the class action lawsuit and how long this program illegally was enacted. If more questions were asked and we had a more diligent media, I don't think this would have gotten out of control. Later on, as we go through the show, I'm going to show you exactly how manipulative the media is. There is a video clip of an audio clip of John Barilaro admitting to some major pork barreling that you can't call pork barreling because a judge said, oh no, and sided with him at that time. But now that he admitted to that exact thing that you can't say that he did, I mean, really, that judge should really have to listen to this audio. It's clear what his intent was. I mean, that shows that the media isn't prepared in that reality, that John Barilaro is a corrupt, slimy little man and that they're going to ignore it, like how they're ignoring the whole robo-debt issue, that the whole robo-debt RC that went on for 9 weeks. That's the problem that I have with this, is that they ignored robo-debt as a whole. They ignored people crying out and saying robo-debt destroyed my life. They ignored all those people. They ignored the class action lawsuit. How much are we prepared for them to ignore for us to do something? This was a big deal. Lives were lost, families were broken, and people became homeless because of an illegal system they waged against people on welfare. And they don't care. They're not going to stop doing it. Do you think if they ever got power again that they're done doing this? No. In the lead up to the 22 election, no, yeah, the last election, that was last year, wasn't it? I was doing a live on that exactly. That they very much will implement a 2.0 of this. They are not done with this, so I'm not either. I'm not going to give up on their rhetoric around this because it's super important that we understand exactly how evil this plot was. You had Christian Porter telling people that he was going to put people in jail. Some of these comments weren't just wrong; they were flat out illegal, threatening people with jail. But yet, the people on that did not need the COVID money, the PPE money, and the ones that got overpaid and everything else, no threats for them. No, that's fine. That seems completely normal. Okay, so next we're going to do a bit of New South Wales election coverage. Now, I don't know if you've seen the some of the coverage around this, but this is something that I want to. Oh, hold on. We're going to go that one because. Okay. First up, Dubbo Council requires Nationals Party to take down Dugald Saunders ad campaign. The party of senior Liberal New South Wales government ministers yet to take down a large campaign sign that his electorate, despite knowing that the local council directly is asking him to do so. The retail billboard size advertisement is telling drivers to just vote one. Dugald Saunders was erected in Dubbo's Cobra Street. Mr. Saunders, who is the Nationals member for Dubbo and the Minister for Agriculture, is seeking re-election March 25th. Dubbo Residential Council has confirmed it wrote to Mr. Saunders a fortnight ago to advise him that the board was non-compliant and asked him to remove it. But the sign remained up until just 1 week from the New South Wales election. A council spokesman said any sign bigger than 80 centimetres squared required development application and planning approval. The sign was submitted without a development application and therefore breaching state environment planning policy. Under the Environment Planning Assessment Act in 1979, a council can issue orders for the unauthorised signage to be removed. And the council said in a statement, council wrote to Mr. Saunders on March 6, advising the sign breached the exempt provisions and that it should either be removed or that Mr. Saunders should advise the council in writing regarding his intentions regarding the matter. Mr. Saunders said that the sign was put up by the Nationals head office with no involvement on his part. As a candidate, I've been removed from that. It's been a cause of angst for the people. I apologise that my campaign office. Look, no, he's a sitting member for there. The council isn't going to act on it, and they're not really too keen to really do the right things. As the sitting member, I expect people to throw rocks at me about silly things. This isn't a silly thing. If anyone else did it, he would demand it. And in fact, he'd make sure it was down. Okay. But no response was received. The Labor candidate, Joshua Black, said the Nationals should not be above the rules. I'd like Ms. Dugald to comply with that law, Mr. Black said. This is a born-to-rule attitude of the National Party. This is a commonality of the LNP as a whole. They have this idea that you should just deal because, they're saying it and it makes sense. But that's not all that came up in this. There's another issue about Dubbo that I want to talk about, and I think it's an important issue. So there's roadworks in Dubbo that were meant to happen. And instead of the council putting in money that was needed desperately for one road, they've spent a quarter of it, of what this other road needs, that won't really show any benefit to the people. So take a listen to this, and hopefully, of course, because it's the most busiest time with the internet. Take a listen to this, and I'm hoping you'll understand how this New South Wales election is panning out. God, it really is disliking me, isn't it? Or I'm going to have to go again, aren't I? Oh, just one sec. I'm going to have to refresh it, it seems. It's going to go through the crazy ads again because it doesn't want to play nice with me. It just wants to muck around. I don't like that. Some ads on here are just crazy. And there's no chance to skip it, because why would it give me a chance to skip it? Oh, geez. Okay, in 9 seconds it'll roll around. Sorry about this wait. It's not helpful. Lives aren't always as perfect as what they seem.
Last week at Council there was $5 million worth of road funding. Councillor Josh Black. Last week at Council there was $5 million worth of road funding to allocate. I moved an amendment to take $25,000 from one road, Saxa Road down in Wellington, that was getting over $1.3 million, and spend $25,000 here fixing up Boundary Road near Crown Street and right in front of the resident at 88 Boundary Road's driveway. Unfortunately, that motion was defeated. I'd like to thank Councillors Lewis Burns, Matt Wright and Vicky Etheridge for supporting me in that, noting that Councillor Chowdhury and Pam Wells were away. The Mayor used his casting vote to vote against that motion. It looks like with Matthew Dickerson as Mayor, he's more interested in shoring up 2 Wellington votes for the September mayoral vote than he is in actually fixing Dubbo roads. That's very disappointing. The sooner we get to the new council with 11 councillors without a casting vote for the Mayor, the better. Last week, Council allocated $1.3 million to Saxa Road in Wellington. Dougal allocated $1.7 million as well. The shameful thing of that is that the council report said there was more than $39 million worth of roadworks required just on Saxa Road. $1.7 million is nowhere near enough. All of that roadwork will never happen. $25,000 for a small strip here on Boundary Road would have been a very good investment for the amount of traffic that goes here, the state of the road, and the number of school buses that use this road every single day.
Okay, I think that outlines exactly what we were intended. That state of the roads in regional New South Wales is again another issue, and I think that that's going to come up. So next thing I want to play is, I don't know if you've seen this, the Juice Media has some great ads. This one, if you haven't seen it, is incredible. And I can't say how good they are. You just have to view it. Okay, it doesn't take long, and I hope you love it. This is amazing work by Juice Media. Oh. Is it gonna work, or today it's all happening.
Visit New South Wales, home to Australia's most iconic destinations. Dick Lake, Hooker Park, Glory Hole Cave, Rooty Hill, and of course, Kumboogle Kumbane. It's also home to the last remaining coalition government on the continent, which is why here at the New South Wales government, we are utterly shitting ourselves about the coming election. New South Wales, first stolen in 1788, this was once a small penal colony racked by shitfuckery. Today, thanks to us, it's a thriving modern state racked by shitfuckery. Need to create a cushy job for yourself once you quit politics? Rort bushfire funds for political gain? Arrest peaceful protesters? Or sick the anti-terror police onto a pesky journo? Come to New South Wales and visit Deniliquin, the perfect getaway when you're being summoned by a parliamentary inquiry into backroom deals with dodgy developers. Speaking of which, don't miss our native forests and wildlife, except you probably will, because by weakening land clearing laws to help dodgy developers, we've destroyed so much of them, we've made it into the top list of deforestation hotspots, alongside the Congo and the Amazon. Did that at least boost our economy? Nope. Our state forestry is losing millions, which means we're making people here pay to destroy their own native forests. We also made them pay for other cock-ups of ours, like ferries too tall for our bridges, trains too wide for our tunnels, trams too cracked to work, and ships too full of COVID to disembark. But we said YOLO. We also sold off their roads, ports, poles, wires, buses, TAFE, public housing, even their land titles office, and yet we still tripled our budget deficit, because we're good economic managers. But when it comes to selling out New South Wales, nothing beats our climate policy. Remember that time a lump of coal brought this piece of shit into Parliament? We thought that was so based, we pulled off the same stunt in our Parliament the next day. Not so New South Wales. That didn't age so well. So ever since then, we've been working hard to rebrand ourselves as climate leaders. But the truth is, we approved 16 new coal mines during our last term alone. And if re-elected, we're due to approve 8 more, including this one, run by a company that just got busted for endemic corruption across Africa. So they'll fit in fine here in New South Wales. But our biggest fuck you goes out to the regional communities we claim to champion. That's why Matt just gave Santos approval to enter their farms without permission. Visit the Liverpool Plains, the perfect spot for a pipeline no one here fucking wants, carrying coal seam gas mined from our last great inland forest right under the food bowl of the state by a company that's already been fined for contaminating aquifers with uranium. What could go wrong? When you put all this together, you might be thinking of not voting for us at the coming election. Thankfully, New South Wales is the only state in Australia where preferential voting is optional, which is great for us, because preferential voting is what got all those not shit candidates elected at the last federal election. So don't use it here, because if enough of you vote 1 for the not shit candidates running in this election, and then number every box, putting the shit candidates last, not only could New South Wales end up with a not shit government, you'd also kick the coalition off the continental map of Australia. And we wouldn't want that now, would we? Visit New South Wales before we sell out what's left of it.
Okay, I think that basically outlines that. So I want to talk about the New South Wales election as well. There is more on that. So how likely is it that they're going to stay in power? Liberals are likely to lose power in New South Wales as a party suffers from Morrison fatigue. If you could make it there, you could make it anywhere, political fixers believe, especially Labor's game theorists. It was so persuasive that some people protested. They didn't live in Penrith, but they mattered too. Penrith has one of the more big kick left, though. Voters picked up a slingshot and catapulted their seat over the fence into the Liberal camp in 2011. By-election saw a record-setting 25.7 swing against Labor, turning the seat from a +9 ALP power base to a solid 16% Liberal seat. It was so alarming it shocked federal Labor and MPs, and the Fed pushed out to oust first-term Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. But that healthy margin eroded with subsequent elections and redistributions after the 2019 poll cut the election's advantage in half. Stuart Ayres, a one-time Deputy Liberal leader, holds the seat, the second most marginal election that pays for his party in the state, putting Ayres in association with John Barilaro, which we're going to discuss after this saga that is one side of history to the successive Liberal government over the past decade. That 2011 by-election foreshadowed the end of 16 years of Labor rule, suggests the importance of Western Sydney is not exhausted yet. If you're watching the New South Wales election results roll on March 25th, and the Liberals look even coming close to holding Penrith by Premier Dominic Perry, might be able to cling to power. However, this is the least likely outcome. That's what you need to know. But go out and vote with gusto. These people do not mess around, and like the ad did say, they are set to do, apart from 16 coal mines that they already approved, there is another 8 to go up from the Glencore group that has been sanctioned many times. So understand that New South Wales is at serious risk of keeping the LNP, even though if they don't keep Penrith, they're less likely to win power. Make sure that you tell people what their plans are. But I'm not done. What happens with John Barilaro? He is the messy, sticky-fingered man that keeps popping up in New South Wales elections. The reason being is because the Nationals were considered like the pride, particularly in the federal election. They were like the big prideful ones, the ones that were going to get him over the line. Fun fact, I don't know how many people know this, but the Nationals didn't lose one seat federally. That's a fact. They didn't lose any seats. That's because people in regional New South Wales, in some of those regions, like Tamworth, that's not a great look that you keep, re-electing Barnaby Joyce. This seat is absolutely driving me crazy, and I just dropped my keyboard because of course I did. And it's not like the damn thing is bloody expensive and I should be taking better care of that. Okay, it keeps sinking me down. Okay, Friendly Geordies has released a second part to the audio that I played last week. And his team have done an amazing job in outlining this audio. So what I'm showing you is full credit to the Friendly Geordies team and his producers. So let's have a look at exactly what he has got. It is amazing. Listening to this audio, you need to show everyone. Go to Friendly Geordies on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on any platform that you can find him. Get this video, spread it around, and make it stick like glue to any New South Wales voter so you can fully understand exactly what the hype is around John Barilaro. Okay, let's go, people.
Last week, we played clips of John Barilaro, the former Deputy Premier, boasting about pork barrelling. Well, this week we thought we'd change it up and play clips of John Barilaro, the former Deputy Premier, boasting about pork barrelling. Don't worry, they're different this time, and arguably even worse. First off, just to get you started, we uncovered a longer version of the tape we played last time, and I've got to say, we're awfully sorry, John. We do owe you an apology. We didn't let you finish your words. Do continue.
But you know what? With all the investment in infrastructure.
I'm glad you call it an investment, not pork barrelling.
Well,
I do appreciate that. As of course, pork barrelaro.
It's all about STEM, the future of every country is about STEM. And what we
What's that going to do with pork barrelling?
What we are doing
I can smell pork.
investing
Is that crackle?
I wouldn't even do that impression of you. If I didn't hear that myself, I'd think, no, that's a bit too on the snout. Okay, now we're going to be looking into investment.
So there's even like a line that Jordan does here. This is why the collaborations that his media does with smaller people is amazing, like where he does stuff with the PR guy and a few others. Watching him do his thing is amazing, because even this was too much on the nose for him. As you're watching this, you're going to slowly realize he's also doing another collaboration with the Kangaroo Court of Australia. So understand that he does amazing work to sort of uncover this stuff. Like he hands it to them. They they FOIA stuff. Like they're an amazing group. Friendly Geordies and his producers do some of the best work I've ever seen. It's non-comparable. Like him and the ad group, the great ad ones. I think that there's no doubt that they definitely make a penetrating hole in the media.
What's that got to do with pork barreling, Stooge? I mean, you could argue it's a joke, but to quote Fat Tony, for no particular reason,
it's funny because it's true.
Anyway, that's just the beginning. The next clip's even better, but you're going to have to wait. I really, really want to show you this first. Incredible, right? Did you see the part where my face is in multiple places at once? Anyway, if you don't know what pork barreling is by now, you can just pretty much click on any video of mine, random. The odds are it will explain it. This upcoming clip, like the others, was taken just before the Upper Hunter by-election, a by-election the Coalition desperately needed to win. You might hear John refer to a Jody in the next clip. He's referring to Jody McKay, the former New South Wales opposition leader, who lost her position after losing this by-election, i.e. the leader that John had some delusional conspiracy theory about her signing me up to attack him. Before we get to the recording, just listen to this clip from an interview he gave.
This is amazing that they do this. This is what every Conservative does. If you're speaking out against them, you must be part of the ALP, which is dobbing on themselves. This means that any time someone is backing the LNP, they're definitely paying for it. That's what I'm going with. That is a pure projectionist thing. Trump does it all the time. So the idiots tell on themselves and then go, no, but it's really the other side. And you're like, yeah, really? Keep talking. I'm listening to just hear what their real plan is. And Friendly Geordies does that amazingly.
For the Upper Hunter by-election, just to give you an idea of what he was dishing out.
Jody McKay signed up with Friendly Geordies to attack me and call me corrupt, and there's legal action in that. Michael West Media continues to call all sorts of levels of corruption against me.
Michael West Media was 100% right. In doing what they did, I accidentally clicked on something that went wild. Michael West Media was 100% right, along with Friendly Geordies, along with Jody McKay. None of them actually worked together to do this. You know that thing where corruption is so bad, where everyone's talking about it? Mr. Barilaro, that doesn't mean I'm having conversations with someone else about it in a term to take you down. It just means I'm talking to my audience individually about how you're a corrupt, lying POS and how Jody McKay was talking about it, Michael West was talking about it, and Friendly Geordies was. You know how you do that thing where when a politician does something bad, people talk about it? Maybe that's really what happened here. Or you can go with the big conspiracy theories, and that's what you're going to do. And you're going to spread horrible rumors about Jody McKay.
False, and attack my father who passed away who can't defend himself. But that's okay. That's not a story for them. So you know what? They don't like it when it's the rough and tumble in reverse. We aren't a charity. This is a political party, and we are in the political game.
So he's there he's basically admitting that, hey, we're a political party and we just do this stuff. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to find people to make it sound as if he's the perpetual victim, not the corrupt POS that he really is. That's the real problem here that I have.
And we'll use everything to our advantage.
Use everything to your advantage, eh, John? Well, glad to hear you can handle the rough and tumble. I'll stop interrupting you now, though, John. It's time to, as the Zoomers would say, let him cook himself.
Jody makes this announcement today that under their watch, they're going to give $100 million now under Resources of Regions, our program, a year set aside. I thought, has she not been listening to us? Like, Resources Regions now $75 million, and on top of another $25 million for what we're calling Resources for Rejuvenation, whenever we set aside. So we are setting $100 million. Siobhan goes, if that was you, you would have come out and said, because you're in opposition, you don't have to pay the bill. You would have gone $500 million a year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go.
Exactly.
All she's done is match us. That's not my size. We're going to commit $250, $250 million per annum. And I dare the Nats to follow.
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, absolutely.
She don't give a stuff.
That's right.
Win the seat, we win government in 2020.
Did you have the asterisks at the bottom?
So he's basically admitting to that. Here's what he's admitting to. He's admitting that he makes election promises based upon, if he doesn't win government, he doesn't have to commit. So he just has a random number to just beat the opposition. And it doesn't matter how fiscally irresponsible he is when he makes that promise. Sound like a LNP member? Yeah, that's what I thought. Ridiculous.
Well, me and Colby.
No,
You're going to bankrupt the government, you know that.
It's like he gets on so well, the treasurer.
No, I said, you're lucky I said in ERC, but I said to Siobhan, it's going to be awkward. That last ERC for budget, and it's like they're tallying all the extra commitments. I'm going,
Exactly.
we've got fiscal responsibility across the board, efficiencies on everyone else. And then the line is, we have to fund it in this year's budget, otherwise we won't get re-elected. So.
Yeah, but here's a large question. What about Kiama and Drummoy? At the moment, we win this. We hold the government in majority.
Well, we win this, we stay in majority. If the witch didn't go to Liberals, Port Macquarie I'm talking about, right? I could almost demand another bloody ministry.
There you go. So tell them at ERC.
Because they've lost Matthew Mason Cox as well.
Yeah, I know.
So they lost Matthew.
Does he join the shooters?
There's talk about it, but not yet.
He doesn't need to.
Doesn't matter. He's there for 2 years. He gets a pension. This is all about his pension. He's not running.
President of the Upper House. It's the best job
Ever.
in the Parliament.
Sarah, at ERC, just say, did you come to this meeting in a white car?
I say that all the time, and Dom gets it. And look, I've got to say, Gladys made that stupid comment. We're not going to make foolish election commitments. I thought, well, I'm making foolish election commitments.
No, we're not.
No, they're not foolish because we're
making very good commitments.
Any of our commitments foolish? I just think Siobhan will go, Siobhan, I've just committed. I'm going to give him another 20 million. She goes, okay, I'll just ring Tooley's office. And I go, look, if he gets upset, she goes, no, fuck him. We were trying to win an election. And I was like, yeah, that's why she's my chief.
Hey, Paul, you come to Sydney in the white car or not? And you know what Neville Rand, I was at John Murray's farewell dinner, and Neville Rand was the speaker. Actually, Bob Carr and Neville Rand were the speakers. To extend the story now, but Bob Carr comes on first. He was talking about the social malaise of the Western world and the direction, and on it went. Neville Rand came on and said, I don't know how I won elections. Anyway, it was a long story. But at one point he said, one day, when I wanted them out, I'd do that. That's all I had to do. They'd do that with my head, and Speaker Kelly, out they'd go. One day, I did that, and nothing happened. And I looked up to Kelly, and I did it again. So I got up out of my seat. I took him around the back of him. I said, Kelly, does your wife like the feel of leather of an LTD under her ass or not?
Yeah, and that is so true.
What is the best story, Mick?
That works against you too. Like when we were blowing up the coalition last year. Put that aside for now, but how the minister did not want to give up that leather. I feel there.
Pretty good, right? Just to be clear, at the start, that's John pondering, I don't know why my opponents just don't make up the numbers like I do. Hell yeah! The guy that got $700,000 in reparations for the great injustice he suffered of being called a con man and a liar. Jodie McKay then lost her position as Labor leader because the Nationals held on to Upper Hunter in that by-election. At the very least, this should be vindication for Jodie that the odds were completely stacked against her. In fact, stacked against Labor in general. This is proof that everyone knows Labor's a serious government, even their opponents, admitting Labor is being honest about their costings and are financially responsible about them, while you have their opponents laughing about how they're looser than a Western suburbs accountant about their figures, and even worse, laughing behind the public's back that, I can't fucking believe they think we're the party of fiscally responsible managers.
It's not just that. they're also admitting to other things. They're not just admitting that they're not going to do what they say they're going to do, but they're also using like collaborations with other councillors. And, there is this, while they hold a majority in New South Wales, they've got to make sure that it's stacked against anyone along the way. So that's what Friendly Geordies is showing. That Jodie McKay never had a chance. They were making fiscally irresponsible promises to people that they never ever planned to deliver, to win seats that they never should have gotten. And they were pork barreling and making jokes about it along the way, and then calling them names, for being fiscally irresponsible. It's pouring.
What a bunch of chumps.
That last ERC4 budget, and then it's like they're tallying all the extra commitments. I'm going,
yeah, exactly.
And you know what the references at the end of that clip are? You know how that clearly very sober man references the feel of the leather of LTDs under someone's wife's arse. LTDs are luxury cars. The white cars and leather are references to the perks of elected office. It's basically John and the rest of the Nationals going, look, the Liberals love the nice white taxpayer-funded cars they get from being in office, so they know to go along with whatever funding we need to win elections.
Do you come to this meeting in a white car?
I say that all the time, and Dom gets it.
Dom, as in Dominic Perrottet, as in the current fucking Premier of New South Wales.
Yeah.
This is pretty astounding shit. It is an admission of what everyone has always suspected. These guys are using taxpayer funds to prop themselves up electorally so they can continue to enjoy the perks of the office, literally to have a cushy job. Now, to quote Monty Python, and now for something completely different, do you know the criteria for when the Independent Commission Against Corruption considers pork barreling corrupt conduct? For some reason, my editor really wants to flash this up at the moment, and you can read that in your own time, because I, for no reason, am going to leave the room when these definitions come up on screen. La 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 la. Keep it in, keep that bit in.
Okay, that basically outlines that what John Barilaro is doing, along with other people, is absolutely corrupt. There's no reason not to believe that this is inherently corrupt. And there's a reason for that. And there's a reason that his producer asked him to walk off camera. Is because if he walks away, he's not the one directly linking himself with that admission, because it can almost be seen as tipping the scales to imply that he is inherently corrupt. Even though John Barilaro admits to all of this, Friendly Geordies can't put himself in a liability position.
I think so, anyway. Liberal Party's campaign, blasting Labor leader Michael Daly for daring to use.
I went too far.
Video was pretty damn deafening. By comparison, last election, do you remember the press pretty much running the Liberal Party's campaign, blasting Labor leader Michael Daly for daring to use the word Asian once? Non-stop, wall to wall, and yet when it comes to this, the press say absolutely nothing, and yet after every Labor loss, they dare turn around and try and dissect where Labor went wrong this election. It's honestly terrifying that because of that level of sick, self-serving, rank media bias, the Liberals have a good chance of getting back in for a fourth term. And that's why you have to convince a couple of your friends, like you did in the federal election, to vote one Labor. We'll be detailing later just how vital it is that they replace the coalition. And if you need a point to convince them for now, how can you get any better than an endorsement from their own opposition?
I don't know.
Yeah. This audio clip is available for download at friendlygeordies.com in both audio and video form, just in case anyone in the press wants to touch it. It's available. Hello? Nope, they're not going to? Well, that's up to you then. You're going to have to share it with as many people as you possibly can. You need to show everyone you know how the New South Wales Liberal government treats your tax dollars, and you need to share it because the press will not. They are doing everything they can to hide this from you. Do not let the Liberals get away with it yet again. There is too much riding on this election.
Okay, so that...
I'm making foolish elections.
that shows you what fundamentally is happening in New South Wales. They were just making up wild claims, like they could pay any amount of money, they could do basically anything. And then after they did that, they were like, well, why didn't you believe us? We don't have to stick to our promises. They had no intent on being honest. They had every opportunity to do the right thing, and yet they didn't do it. So do get out and vote, and make sure that you let people know exactly what it is that they're up to. And I'm appalled that this is still a thing that they're doing. But in this lead up to the election, they pulled out old Johnny Howard. They decided, well, you know, we would just pull out old Johnny Howard to stump speech. No, Peter Dutton wasn't in it, or any other ones, you know. I don't even think Morrison turned up to this. So it looks like the New South Wales election is not as, I mean, look at him. Should he be really coming out to make speeches like this? He's announced, came after Mr. Howard warmed up adoring crowd with tales of 1996 federal election victory, warning about Labor governments. Yeah, you know, lies like children overboard, Mr. Howard. You want to go with the problems with the Labor government. What about weapons of mass destruction? Let's start there. Or do you want to go with welfare rorts and cheats every time you make a comment? I'm not here to show you just how horrible these people are. I'm here to make you understand what their intent is. I don't have to do anything to show you who they are. It's up to you at the end of it what you take from that. But I want to talk about another state, Victoria. Victoria has, at this moment, a very notorious following here, and it's right-wing extremists. Like, I know that they have a leftist government and he's got a majority and all that kind of stuff. But this small pocket of hate is attacking people, and it needs to stop. And the police need to stop in their support of just how disgraceful it was. They were letting these people do salutes in support of a very terrible regime. Okay, as you're seeing here, the transgender right protesters clashed with neo-Nazis. After the controversial UK figure Kelly J. Keane held an event in the city, follows a clash that federal Labor Josh Burns called tougher laws after black-clad marchers Nazi salute with near Victoria, at the front of Victorian Parliament. One sec. Okay. So they walked the streets, and they were the ones protesting the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic, and they were these people that were anti-vaxxers and making up stuff about horse paste and how they're not free, and they still think they're not free. It's boring, it's old, and it's not new. But now they've gone just full into fascism, because that's what they want to do. Now, Dan Andrews has made a response to this. hold on one sec. It's Dean Andrew saying, I won't share a photo because it simply don't deserve the attention. But yesterday, I don't know if you can see that, anti-trans activists gathered to spread hate. And on the steps of our parliament, some of them performed a Nazi salute. Dean Andrews has made moves to make this not legal, like all the signage and stuff. They're not allowed to have that. So now he needs to make it against their speech and rhetoric that they're bringing out and their actions. So now there's calls for that to happen. But there's more, okay, to do with that. Listen to this take of a protester who was...
Yup, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Well, I went to go stand for trans rights against a career transphobe with severe links to the far right, only to turn the corner and see literal Nazis doing fucking Nazi salutes at Parliament House in Victoria. The literal fucking Nazis also did these Nazi salutes and chants on the steps of Parliament House in Victoria. We turned the corner and saw the Nazis and came rushing in like it was first light on the fifth day at Helm's Deep. Don't worry though, the cops made sure that we couldn't get to the Nazis and that the Nazis were protected.
Yeah, because that's normal.
Look at all these lovely turfs standing right next to literal Nazis doing Nazi salutes on the Parliament steps. And isn't it funny seeing the turfs try and pretend that the literal Nazis were not there to support them when the sign that they brought is exactly the same rhetoric that was said just a couple of days ago by one of the literal organisers of this event. One of the organisers who is on Twitter right now defending Nazi presence at this event. Just in case you needed any proof, event by Angela Jones. Angela Jones. Angela Jones. Angie is a prominent Australian TERF and is well known within the community, and I've made videos about her before, even some as frequent as a couple of days ago. There were Nazis on the steps of Parliament House in Victoria, and the police did not stop them from parading around or doing Nazi salutes.
Hold on.
In fact, they were too busy roughhousing trans protesters to care about the literal parade that the Nazis were throwing at Parliament House. The TERFs were more than happy to have the protection of the Nazis and stood alongside them, and did not do a single thing to remove the Nazis from the event. The Victorian Liberal Party came out condemning the presence of neo-Nazis at Parliament House today, but had nothing to say about the fact that one of their upper house MPs actually was in attendance of this event, standing alongside those same Nazis.
So Catherine Deves turned up to this. She did. She was there. Her face is there. And they can play games with that detail all they like. That's not just this. Okay. So the police don't look too good in any of this. There is not a good angle where the police are going to come shining out in this movement at all, because they look pretty pro-Nazi. And that's just not good for anyone. Now, you're going to let hate do its thing. Cool. But you can't stop the people trying to stop the hate. That's not okay. And they're shoving protesters while they're letting literal Nazis walk the street.
Move back. Now, I told you to move back nicely. You haven't done it.
Oh, of course, my net is.
Look at the Nazis! Look at the Nazis! Look at the Nazis! Hey, you're worried about us! Fuck you, Nazis! Fuck you! Fuck you, Nazis!
Move back. Now, I told you to move back nicely. You haven't done it.
So that's where we're at with that group. So, sure, you want to be stupid and you want to play stupid games know this. The media can do what they're doing, like Rita Panini and Catherine Deves can tell the people, hey, no, I had nothing to do with that. Really? That's why your picture's so in it, it's a joke. There has to be at some point where enough's enough. And if any LNP want to go against the law that Dean Andrews makes against this, that'll show exactly where your alliances are. So if any people in the Liberal Victorian, I think it should be a federal law too, but any people in the Liberal Victorian Party want to come out and then go, no, I don't think that we should have laws against Nazis coming out and protesting in the streets. Cool. You showed your colours. And you were fine with that violence, and you're fine with them attacking trans people and women and other people. You're cool with this. You're fine with a literal group of Nazis walking down to the Victorian Parliament House harassing people. That's the Liberal Party can't just do one of them placating. We condone these actions. They need to do it at their voting moments. Because if they don't, they're being complicit. Which wouldn't surprise me if they were. Next, we're going to talk about Donald Trump. Looks like next week he could be indicted. The Manhattan District Attorney is taking serious steps. Don't believe me? Check this out. Okay, Donald Trump is expected to be indicted on Tuesday. Check this out.
This is Sarah. She saved 200.
These ads are insane. And you can't skip them. You know, you just got to sort of go with them. Yeah, check out how crazy these sorts of things are. Oh, hold on.
Former US President Donald Trump says he will be arrested in New York this week over what he says are debunked allegations.
For more, let's bring in our US correspondent, Alison Petrowski in LA.
They don't need to start off with what he said, because the facts are always different to what Trump said.
Ali, Trump's called for supporters to protest.
Yeah, that's right. This is big news, guys. Donald Trump claims that he's going to be arrested and charged in New York this Tuesday. That is Wednesday, Australian time. And this is all due to allegations of a hush money payment made to porn star Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 election. Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, made those payments. He's already been charged with federal crimes and he's already gone to jail over them. He is now the key witness in this investigation, a grand jury investigation in New York into Donald Trump. He is always said that the order for the payment came from Donald Trump and it was meant to hush up an affair between the porn star and the former president. And he's always said that the former president reimbursed him. Now, guys, news broke yesterday that law enforcement officials in New York City and security agencies had been making precautionary plans if Donald Trump were to be indicted this week. Donald Trump has taken to Truth Social, his social media platform this morning, to call the Manhattan District attorneys corrupt, to say no crime will be able to be proven, and calling his followers to protest, saying, take our nation back. Now, interestingly, this particular case is one of perhaps half a dozen current investigations ongoing into Donald Trump, and many legal...
Channel 9 doesn't do this justice properly. Let me get to the point. Channel 9 wants to make it sound like his rhetoric is the only one that matters. It's not. The truth is that he broke a law. There are real indictments coming, and he'd be stupid enough to incite his people to go and rock up with guns, because that's what he's doing. And they have every intent on doing just that. You don't believe me? Check this out if you don't think that he's fully intent on doing just that. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm going to have to grab it on my other. Okay. I will show you this. I thought I had this lined up and I didn't. Okay, so this. Oh, it's not gonna. Okay, we'll take that. Oh, it's gonna make me do it whether I want it or not. Okay. I thought it was up here and it isn't. Okay, so
We all know
oh,
misogyny is deeply.
nope, that's not it. That is my daughter's thing, and I didn't even know that was there. Stop share. We'll just go to the next video. Okay. Because it's on a whole other thing and I need to pull it up. But his literal supporters are coming out and saying how they're actively going to use guns to attack him. It's on my Stop Evil Murdoch's Monopoly page. Well, when you have a look at it, he has been found guilty of all counts of criminal tax fraud too of his organisation. So if you don't believe that they are intent on doing just that, even Fox News is saying that they expect it to happen. Oh my gosh.
Legal experts here.
Okay. So
Former US President Donald Trump says he will be arrested in New York this week over.
No, wrong one. What is wrong with me today? That one. That's what I need. Even Fox News is
For
saying.
sometime next week. We are learning that the Manhattan DA's office has asked for a meeting with law enforcement ahead of a potential Trump indictment. This is coming to Fox News from a source in the courts. The meeting, which was requested yesterday and has not been set yet, is to discuss logistics for sometime next week, which would mean that they are anticipating an indictment next week. Same source who's familiar with the planning said they will go over security preparations in and around the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Secret Service will take the lead in what they will allow or will not allow. The source cautioned, mentioning, for instance, that the decision to handcuff the president, a former president, or not, they will set the tone and will escort him into the courtroom. There will be coordination between all of us, the source said, but we will defer to the Secret Service. The battle will be between Secret Service and DA Alvin Bragg. They will decide how and when he'll get into the building, and they are not going to leave him. The source believes that the former president will still have to be fingerprinted and processed like every other defendant. So this is a huge development. If Alvin Bragg has decided to go ahead with a felony indictment of the former president. This was a charge that the federal officials refused to prosecute on or even really pursue. This was a misdemeanor in New York that Alvin Bragg has decided to elevate to a felony, while at the same time downgrading other felonies to misdemeanors. So we'll be watching this to see how it all unfolds and get more information as it comes in. Sandra?
And John,
Okay, so that shows clear intent. He could be in serious trouble here. What he did was he made a payment to a porn star for hush money in the lead up to the 2016 election. Michael Cohen, his lawyer, also was complicit in this. He made the payments to Stormy Daniels with the full knowledge of Donald Trump. there are several things that they're looking at him in Arizona. They're looking at him for election tampering, where he wanted to have Brad Raffensperger, the man who runs the elections in Arizona, to find one more vote than what he actually needed to win in Arizona, which was called for Biden. Now, that, amongst several other things that he did in January 6th and other things, he should be indicted. What he did is an awful, awful thing for the states. But that's all for me tonight. It's been a longer broadcast, and I hope you've had fun with it, and I hope to see you all next week. Thank you, guys. Bye.